Queen Victoria's reign was an era of immense change. Britain transformed into a global power, and Victoria herself became a symbol of that power. She was not only the Queen of England, but also the Empress of India. These two roles, intertwined, showcased both her influence and the complex realities of her time. Victoria's personal life played a significant role in shaping her image and her impact. Her family became a tool of diplomacy, and her children's marriages helped secure British influence across Europe. This essay will delve into Victoria's unique position. We will explore her strategic use of family ties to maintain peace and stability in Europe. We will then journey across continents to examine her role as Empress of India, a title imbued with grandeur yet juxtaposed against the realities of colonial rule. Finally, we will analyze the lasting legacies, both positive and negative, that Victoria's reign left on Europe and India. Victoria understood the power of family. She had 9 children, and she saw their marriages as opportunities to forge alliances and secure British interests abroad. This wasn't a new concept for European monarchs. Royal weddings had long been tools of diplomacy. But Victoria, with her vast empire and growing global influence, took this strategy to a new level. She carefully orchestrated matches for her children, considering religious compatibility, political alliances, and the personalities of those involved. These marriages weren't just about love, they were about power. They were about creating a web of relationships that would bind European nations together, with Britain at the center. Victoria believed that a united Europe with strong ties to Britain would be less likely to engage in war. She hoped that her children, strategically placed in positions of influence, could act as peacemakers and mediators, smoothing over conflicts before they could escalate. One of Victoria's most significant achievements was marrying her eldest daughter, also named Victoria, to the future German Emperor Frederick III. This union linked Britain to the newly unified Germany, a rising power in Europe. It was a strategic masterstroke, fostering goodwill between the two nations. Another crucial alliance was forged through the marriage of Victoria's son, Edward VII, to Alexandra of Denmark. Denmark, while a smaller nation, held a strategically important position in Northern Europe. These were just 2 examples of Victoria's carefully crafted marriage strategy. Her children married into the royal families of Russia, Spain, and Greece, creating a complex web of relationships that spanned the continent. This network of kinship fostered communication and understanding between nations. It also served as a subtle but effective way for Britain to exert influence, promoting stability and peace in a rapidly changing Europe. Empress of India, a title of majesty and contradiction. In 1876, Queen Victoria assumed a new title, Empress of India. This grandiose title reflected the vastness of the British Empire and Victoria's position at its head. The title was bestowed upon her by the British Parliament after the suppression of the Indian Rebellion of 1857, also known as the Sepoy Mutiny. It symbolized the transfer of power over India from the British East India Company to the British Crown. However, the title Empress of India was fraught with contradictions. While it projected an image of power and grandeur, the realities of British rule in India were far more complex. Victoria, though deeply interested in India and its people, never actually set foot in the country she ruled as Empress. Her knowledge came from reports, letters, and interactions with Indian dignitaries, not from first-hand experience. The reach of empire from infrastructure to exploitation. British rule in India, like all colonial endeavours, was a double-edged sword. On one hand, the British brought advancements in infrastructure, technology, and education. They built an extensive railway network, introduced new agricultural practices, and established universities that fostered intellectual growth. These changes had a profound impact on Indian society, connecting distant regions, boosting the economy, and fostering new ideas. However, these advancements came at a significant cost. British rule was often exploitative, extracting resources and wealth from India to fuel the British economy. Traditional Indian industries were disrupted by British competition, leading to unemployment and economic hardship for many. The British also imposed their own social and cultural norms on India, often disregarding the country's rich and diverse traditions. Seeds of dissent, resistance, and the rise of nationalism. The inequalities and injustices of British rule did not go unnoticed by the Indian people. Resistance to British authority took many forms, from peaceful protests and boycotts of British goods to armed uprisings. The Indian Rebellion of 1857, though brutally suppressed, was a turning point. It exposed the vulnerabilities of British rule and ignited a new sense of Indian nationalism. Indian intellectuals and activists began to challenge the legitimacy of British rule, demanding greater autonomy and self-governance. They formed political organizations, published newspapers and journals, and mobilized public opinion, laying the groundwork for the independence movement that would eventually succeed in the 20th century. Victoria's reign, though marked by imperial expansion and the consolidation of British power, also witnessed the seeds of its eventual decline being sown. Legacies forged Victoria's enduring impact on Europe and India. Queen Victoria's legacy is complex and multifaceted. In Europe, she is remembered as the grandmother of Europe, her family ties credited with fostering peace and stability in the early 20th century. Her reign, marked by industrial progress, social reform, and relative peace, is often viewed as a golden age in British history. However, her legacy in India is more nuanced. While some acknowledge the positive contributions of British rule, such as infrastructure development and educational advancements, many remember the exploitation, cultural suppression, and enduring inequalities that colonialism created. Victoria's reign serves as a reminder that history is rarely black and white. It is a tapestry woven from threads of progress and regress, of triumphs and tragedies. Understanding her legacy requires acknowledging both the positive and negative aspects of her rule, recognizing the complexities of empire and the enduring impact of colonialism. Although Victoria's era is long gone, the legacies of her reign continue to shape the world today, influencing the political landscape of Europe and the ongoing struggle for equality and social justice in India.